Turning now to developing news out of the state of Pennsylvania, where the judge in the college murders case is expected to make a major ruling about testimony from some key witnesses in this case. This comes as two friends who found the victims' bodies are speaking out for the very first time. Here they are on GMA earlier today.
In the documentary, you tell the story of really not feeling alarmed when Dylan called you.
I joked around with her on the phone. You know, it's something you would never expect.
It's November, so I had shorts on, slides on. Like, I wasn't prepared to obviously stay there. I was just going over to check, see what's going on. I would say as soon as you get there, you know something's wrong.
This morning, potential witnesses appeared at a hearing to determine if there is cause for them to be compelled to travel to testify at Bryan Kohberger's upcoming trial ahead in August in Boise, Idaho. Kohberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students back in November of 2022. Just last week, the judge denied the defense from bringing up an alternate suspect's defense at their trial. He also denied a delay in the trial. Joining us now with the very latest is Court City's Senior Director of Courtroom Coverage, Grace Wong. Grace, you were in that courtroom today. Nice to see you. What stood out?
Good morning, Matt. And as you know, Pennsylvania does not allow cameras in the courtroom. Today, there were 6 witnesses that had been subpoenaed by the defense who were ordered to appear to to testify about whether they would agree to being witnesses at Kohberger's trial. And if they don't agree, whether they could overcome the subpoena. And the judge was there to determine whether he would order them to appear at the trial. Now, 3 witnesses, Ralph Vecchio, Brandon Andriola, and there was one other witness who testified, that Jesse Harris, who was the former boxing coach. All 3 of them objected to being called to this trial. They felt like their testimony, as they had complied with information. They had given as much information as they could to both sides, and they didn't feel that appearing before the trial and testifying in person would add that much more than what they had already given. And they were also expressing concern, particularly Brandon Andriola and Jesse Harris, expressed concern about being associated with the trial, associated with Kohberger. In Brandon Andriola's case, he feared for his job. He is the sole income earner for his family, and they have a small child, and he is in customer service. And he said that just being associated with this case has brought on a lot of media attention that he said is unwanted. And as we get closer to the trial, and him appearing in person in the trial would only prompt more and increase his risk of losing his job, or what he fears of losing his job. And he mentioned that the 2 sisters that Kohberger have lost their jobs. And he cited that concern as the reason why he feared for his job. And as for Jesse Harris, he said that he expressed that his heart goes out to both families. And he didn't want to feel like he was in a position to advocate for one side or the other, and that he had already given whatever testimony he could to both sides. And in Jesse Harris's case, he knew Kohberger when he was still a teen, 15 and 16 years old, and he doesn't really know Kohberger as the adult male that he is now. So he felt that he didn't feel like he needed to go to Idaho to testify. But in any case, the judge has ordered all 3 of these, well, at least in both these cases, to appear as witnesses in the case, because the lawyer representing the defense said that this was a death penalty case and it was important that they appear, and they were material witnesses. So the judge agreed, and both have been ordered to appear. In the 3rd case, in Ralph Vecchio's case, he is the owner of the car dealership that sold the car to the Kohberger family. This is the car in question that law enforcement says Kohberger was driving when he was at the crime scene. This is the white Hyundai Elantra. And I think more significantly, the defense is trying to elicit testimony that they did not try to sell the car after this happened. So this is again a witness that does not want to testify in person. He says that he was not the owner of the business. His father was the owner of the business, and his father is 88 years old and homebound and has been homebound for the last 3 months. So I think the judge granted the continuance so that the defense can decide whether Ralph Vecchio III can provide the testimony that they want.
Yeah, I think that that's really important as to, they didn't get too much into the substance of what the testimony would be, but just spoke about it overall, right? And it's fascinating about the car and what they may have intended for that and how they're going to mitigate that for the defense case. Because these, again, are going to be the defense witnesses who are going to be compelled to testify. Was there any support for the defendant in the courtroom? I know that he was arrested there. This is happening in Pennsylvania, where his family had lived. Remember, he drove back with his dad. Were they there?
No, I don't. His family wasn't there, and he did not appear either by Zoom or any other way. So it was really just media and the witnesses who were ordered to appear.
All right, and we are rapidly approaching this trial set to take place in August. Director of Courtroom Coverage for Court TV, Grace Wong, thank you so much for that update.